Good afternoon, folks. It's your old pal Colby Evans here with another episode of the ARCA Racing Podcast. We had an action-packed weekend of events at the main series championship race, my favorite race of the year, Kansas finale, Reese's 150. We have a huge show for you guys. We'll be going over the race, my experience of the weekend with Brad Smith and our ups and downs, and some overall owner point battles that some of you guys may not have known were going on during the race themselves. As I said before, I am your host, Colby Evans. Follow me at Start and Park Car on Twitter. Follow ARCA Racing on Twitter. And follow our boy Brad Smith on Twitter as well. I'd love for this show to be presented by Menards, so we'll give them a shout out anyway because they proudly support the ARCA Racing series. Let's get right into the show, shall we? The Reese's 150. In my opinion, one of the best sponsors you could ever ask for a race. And arguably one of the coolest trophies I have seen in a long time. The graphics for the race were amazing. I mean, we've seen some really cool sponsorship races in ARCA. We've seen the Dawn 150 where you win a dish soap trophy. We've seen the Bounty 150 where you get a paper towel roll trophy. And now we've seen the Reese's 150 where I think they got a peanut butter cup trophy. I'm just saying, like, ARCA's got some of the funniest and coolest race names, and it's always fun to see. It's great to see Kansas always get a names race sponsored. Usually it's been called the Kansas 150 the last couple of years, so it's good to see it get some sponsorship, especially by a major branding company as well. Unfortunately, no Reese sponsored car. That would have been awesome, honestly. The happiness that really kind of started off was, although entry list storylines I had pointed out last week, we did see 26 cars on the initial entry list. Unfortunately, me being there, the 36 of Ryan Huff and the 91 of Justin Carroll did not show up for the race. I'm sad they didn't because although they would not have been race-winning entries, the 91 and the 36 would have been also more full race entries for people to race around. But we still had 24 cars, which was our biggest field since 2018. So in a way, it's an up. And as long as we're going up with car counts, I'm okay with it. It was a mix of entries, as you would go to expect. We had our usual entries. Like I said, I kind of went over it last week. We had the 4th Venerini car. We had Red A Motorsports. We had old Wayne running again. It was kind of a jack of all trades. We ended up with 24 entries and logistically only maybe 2 starting parks at most. Unfortunately, it would have to go up to 3, but reasons like that we can't really be mad about because unfortunately they just happen. As you guys saw on my Twitter account, I was there with Brad Smith. This was our last race of the season. Again, cannot thank you guys enough for the donations. You guys blew me out of the park, blew everyone out of the park. Brad, the PR guy, Kevin, everyone was shocked that we did as good as we did, and it's all because of you guys. I cannot thank you guys enough, and I wish we could have had better luck for you. We'll get into that a little later, but it was going to be definitely a weekend of happiness for sure, and I'm really sad that it ended the way that it did. But yeah, we had some fun entries this weekend. Ty Gibbs, obviously, just by taking the green flag, locked up the championship with only 25 cars entered. Was great to see Monster Energy actually being on the car this weekend. You got to think they would have been on the car for the championship race, the championship pictures. It would have been stupid to have the car blank for the championship race. We can all agree with that. It would have been absolutely stupid to have the car blank. Practice rolled around. Again, like what you would expect, Ty Gibbs demolishes the field in practice. What a shocker. And then, unfortunately, this is where our weekend unfortunately ended. We'll get into it. So, like usual, the funny part is about the ARCA garage area. Actually, I wanted to get into one more small tidbit before we get into the practice portion. So the ARCA garage area, for the people who haven't been to the Kansas Speedway before, we don't get one of the big garage areas that the Xfinity and Cup Series get. We are parked in a pretty decent sized parking lot just beside the Xfinity garage area. It's basically the entrances are connected. And with 24 cars, that's quite a few cars to fit in that little compacted area. And I think the funniest thing I wanted to say was that right next to us as the 48 car, the left side of us was the 55, and on the right side of us was the 28. Now, the 28 with the RSS entry was good to see them too. They didn't have a pit box. They didn't have, a toolbox. They literally had nothing. They had 2 sets of tires stacked up, an air bottle, and a small little, I believe it was, what's the word? Generator. That's what the word I was looking for. And it was literally just so funny. This little area with this competitive car. By the way, it was cool to find out that 28 car was actually a chassis from 2006. So it was cool to see a 15-year-old race car run that competitive as it did later in that race. But yeah, going back to Brad, the day didn't start off too good. We got there. We noticed the fuel was leaking, unfortunately. We had a fuel leak in the rear of the fuel tank. Luckily, it was an easy fix. Crew Chief Jeff, Brad's brother, was there. Simply just unscrewed the bolts, the nuts and bolts holding in the top of the tank. Checked the seal. Jeff got it fixed pretty easily. We were able to get that repaired very quickly. No harm, no problem. It's an old fuel cell anyway. They just replaced it because back at Salem, I believe that fuel cell had expired. So everything was kind of grand there. We all got headsets. I was not spotting this weekend, but we all got headsets. And for one, I'm the guy who doesn't like to, since we don't have a big hauler and I can't go on top and watch them go around the track, I was going to run out to pit road because I wanted to see, I just wanted to see Brad come down the front straightaway and, just listen on the spotter. Well, in some ways, it was a good or bad idea. While I was running out there, I lost one of my gloves, number one, but literally right as I got to the pit wall, I saw Brad come around the front straightaway 2 times, and on the 3rd lap, unfortunately, Brad said the motor had cut off, and was hoping it was just a case of he accidentally hit the kill switch, because sometimes that happens. And I've been in Brad's car, and the kill switch is actually pretty close to the driver, and he easily could have just accidentally hit it. But it also occurred to me that, oh, God, we have an old car. What could this mean? And Brad had stopped about 100 feet from the pull into the garage, and the way he was sounding on his voice was just not good news. But since it was a hot pit road, there were cars on the track, me not wearing a fire suit, I didn't know if I was allowed to jump the wall and go push the car. Eventually, I got the all clear from Brad, and I'll be nice. There was a lot of other people there who were willing to help push. David Richmond was down there too, but by then the other crew guys had come. But just pushing the car back to the garage, I could feel in the vibes like, oh no, this is not good. And we got the car back to our garage slot and opened the hood. Dejection, number one, was number one on Brad. And I think he knew secretly he didn't want to, he didn't want to know. He didn't want what he thought it was going to be. But in reality, it ended up being what kind of we all suspected. Opened the hood, took the air box off. I think even took the carburetor. Did we take the carburetor off? I don't know if we took the carburetor off or not. I don't remember. We took the valve covers off on the side of the engine, and right there, Brad noted we broke a rocker arm. And then when we took the other side cover off, it was a complete mess of oil, basically just engine destruction. I'm not all there with engines, so I couldn't really tell you guys the big problem. I'm not the best when it comes to engines, but even I know when an engine doesn't look good, and that did not look good. It did not look good. And, me, Brad, and Jeff Smith were kind of taking everything apart, and anger, sadness, just the vibes were just there. Everyone was just sad because we knew that was it. With the team, it was actually, just to let you all know, it was an old truck series motor. That's actually what was in Brad's ARCA car. It's an old truck motor. So it's definitely quite old, but unfortunately that meant day over for the 48 team, which was just, we had a great sponsor from A Story Worth Living movie. We had the donations from you guys. We had, seeing that set of stickers, just, I was so excited for this race, man. And it was just utter sadness loading up so early. Luckily, lightning would strike in the end. We got a lucky break in the end. I'll get to that a little later, but for anyone that's DNQ'd a race or have had to withdraw due to crash damage or an engine failure, wow, I know what you guys feel now. It's not fun. It hurt. It hurt physically. It hurt mentally. To know that we were 6 hours before race time and we were done. It sucked. And it's the first time that's ever happened to me, but the old saying goes, that's racing. And that quote never rang more truer than in that moment. But it was what it was. Unfortunately, that also meant, because coming into this race, we were tied with the 0-1 fast track racing entry in owner points. I believe it was for 11th position. And ARCA pays based off of owner points. And, well, with DL Wilson and Brad, I would say kind of are equal when it comes to driving. I think if Brad really wanted to push it, he could have went faster. But, unfortunately, no, that's how it went. And the 0-1 was able to have no competition, and they got 11th place in the points when we got 12th. But anyway, let's just get out of that sadness. I just wanted to get that over with real quick. That was basically what happened to the 48 team. If you were also following along on Twitter, you saw our PR guy, Kevin, posting updates as well. We were still credited with 2 practice laps. So at least we were on the sheet in some way, shape, or form. And we never even put on the sticker tires. For people who are wondering, we never even got a chance to bolt on the stickers. The plan was to practice on the tires that we brought. And then since you have to qualify and race in the same set, we were just going to run the stickers for qualifying and then run the same set for the race. And actually what Brad was going to be planning on doing with the second set of tires, you guys, was actually he was going to cash those in. For Daytona next year, if that was okay with you guys. But don't be sad. Anyone who donated, whose name is on the car, you guys will be on the car at Daytona. And maybe even for a couple more races too. We're going to make sure that you guys who donated got your money's worth. You guys will ride at Daytona. So you can say you guys sponsored a car at Daytona. It's definitely pretty cool. But yeah, we also had some other notable entries in the field. Like I said, Venerini had 4. JP Bergeron made his 1.5-mile debut. Raja Karuth, I believe, made his 1.5-mile debut. I didn't really expect, flying speed out of him. It was his biggest track to date, I believe, in real life. He was over a second off in practice, but that was expected. You're not going to pick this up on lap 1. And even then, having only a 45-minute practice session, only out there to, make a couple of runs, you're still not going to make much progress out of that. It was great seeing the Young's Motorsports team with Connor Mosak. The cool part is that you could see that car. I looked up close. That was the same car that they had used as a previous race. And there was some level of, intrigue to a lot of these teams that were running, because the 02 and the 35, were running this race for a specific reason too. I said that ARCA pays the top 20 teams in owner points. We're coming into this race. The 02 and the 35 were 20th and 21st in owner points. So they were battling for the last position in owner points, basically to get paid by ARCA at the end of the year. And well, just by a mere 2 points, Randy Young's team beat the 35 of Greg Van Al. So that's got to hurt Greg Van a little. Likelihood is Greg would have won that battle fairly, but unfortunately at the beginning of the year, Van Al suffered some really sad runs with some bad luck. Qualifying was really no different. Wayne in the 06, by the way, it only listed 23 cars in both practice and qualifying because, Wayne doing his start and park, ARCA knows what he's doing. ARCA knows, what the deal is when it comes to him. So they just simply let him sit out practicing qualifying. Why? Because it doesn't really matter. Wayne's out there to make a couple laps, just out there to have fun. Why make Wayne hurt himself by getting in the car 3 damn times in one day? So if you're wondering why, that's why. Wayne did not withdraw from the race. It was simply a case of that. Ty Gibbs, only by a tenth, I'll say, won qualifying, but still managed to win the pole again. I don't know how many poles that was for Gibbs this year, but I will say I think he won over 80% of the poles this year for ARCA. And if that statistic is correct, I know the car counts were a little smaller. I know he has the A+ equipment, but that is still very, very impressive indeed. Other fun entries we had this weekend, we had the number 11. We'll go over Fast Track's lineup real quick. Fast Track actually had 5 entries this weekend. We had the 10. I'm going to butcher this name. Hopefully I don't, but I believe it's Arnaut Koch. I hope I pronounced that correctly. We had the number 11 of Ron Vandermeer Jr., who was actually running a pink window net for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I wonder if it's one of them from the Cup race. And if that's the case, that's pretty cool. We had the 12 of Tony Constantino. That was a start and park. I kind of figured, judging by what I saw in the paint scheme. The 01, of course, of DL Wilson. And the 66. Now, this was on the entry list earlier as a Vandermeer Racing entry. But it was listed TBA, to be added, pretty much all week. And all of a sudden, this random guy, and with all due respect to him, I had never heard of this guy. Kyle Lockrow. Never heard of him, with all due respect. And I knew it was a start and park. And I even said it last week on the show. Hopefully they bring the 66 out to do a start and park. Just to get the car counts up. And sure enough, they did. They actually did. They used the Ford, the white Ford that has been another workhorse of the Fast Track fleet this year. So that was good to see. Actually, to my surprise, Wayne did make a qualifying lap. I guess I was told he didn't make a qualifying lap, but wow, look at that. Huh, cool. Our favorite underdog, Andy Jenkowiak. He had a good piece this weekend. Didn't have the speed I thought he would have, but I think it's just because the hour car that he has is a little bit older. A little bit of an older entry car. Not exactly the best piece, but he does what he can with it. For anyone also wondering if you guys follow Zachary Tinkle, he was actually, this was a whole Peterson fleet this weekend. These were both Peterson entries. Tinkle was running the black Ford. which actually showed up with a 06 on it, and they plastered a 27 over it for the race. So that was kind of funny. That was pretty funny. He actually had really good speed in that car. He was literally 1/1000th slower than a Venerini car, Tony Breininger, in qualifying. So that was pretty cool. Another weird entry, we had the Nice team, which was happy to see there with Dean Thompson. That was good to see as well. Again, good to see some oddball entries that we normally would not come to see in a race like this. It was all great to see. Unfortunately, I just wish, you had like 10 more cars to play the game. That would have made it a lot better. So coming to the race itself, as I said earlier, the lightning did help strike during the Xfinity race. I mean, we were all loading up. Me and one of the buddies, other crew members, we're just kind of chilling in the Xfinity garage, watching the race, from the monitors and watching cars come back into and from the garage. When we ran up with PR guy Kevin, who actually told us that Brad was still driving this weekend. And it really made us happy. Brad ended up driving the 06. And to my knowledge, this was the first time that Brad has driven for Wayne in the 06 15, 20 years. I don't remember the last time Brad drove the 06 for Peterson, but it's been a long time. So it was cool to see an old friend help out another old friend. And again, this is just the part of ARCA that I think people don't understand. I've had a lot of people tell me, why do you still love ARCA so much? And it's exactly because of that. Where else are you going to find two underdogs like Brad Smith and Wayne Peterson to cheer for every week? And it's reasons like that. They're a family. ARCA is a family. That's why I love the garage area so much. Everybody is a family. At least the low-budget guys are. And for Wayne to willingly give up that seat like that for Brad, it said a lot about Wayne. We actually brought over a set of tires that Brad had brought with him, and we were going to bolt them onto the car anyway. Let's just say that the tires that were already on the 06, pretty used up. Pretty used up, so to say. And so we bolted on some fresher, not really fresher, but little better tires so Brad could run some at least okay laps. And I'll say, for the 4 to 6 laps he was out there, I think if we had the opportunity to set the car up a little bit and Brad ran the whole race in that 06 car, I think he actually would have been semi-competitive. Because Brad was probably running that car as fast as anyone had in quite a long time. But anyway, it was just cool to see old friends come back together. Thanks again. Thank you, Wayne Peterson. Thank you, the Peterson Racing Team, for letting Brad at least make his 19th start of the season and keeping the fifth place points, even though he already had that pretty much locked up anyway. So I guess you could say there was a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, but nonetheless was still pretty depressing anyway. Kind of after that happened, a lot of the other crew members just left, and despite it being bitterly cold out, I got my sweatshirt on, and I basically sat on the pit wall for the rest of the ARCA race. And holy crap, domination. I hadn't really checked the scoreboard when all of a sudden, on track, I see the 46 of JP running directly in front of Ty. And I'm like, that ain't right. JP's running like 6th. Wow. Ty Gibbs laps up at the lap 50 break. He had lapped up, I believe, all the way to 4th, 3rd or 4th. That is impressive. He was flying out there. And that was just like, wow, we have not seen that since like Jeff Bodine at, I think, Wilkesboro 2.5 decades ago. But I did not see that coming at all. And it was kind of weird, with the pit stops. Is like modified live pit stops where the pit stop. It was not the 5-minute break where they could take their time. And it was really shocking to me that those guys actually had to go pretty fast. And one cool piece that I never got to I wish I could have got on video. Frank Kimmel, I think he was in his mid-late 50s. Frank Kimmel was changing tires on the 46 car. I didn't see that coming. I didn't even know. I knew Frank still worked in ARCA as a mechanic, but I did not know Frank was a dang over-the-wall guy. So that was pretty cool to see. But the one thing we did notice did notice at the beginning of the restart was the two, Sanchez. He got a great launch and hung with Gibbs for a good lap or two. And there was that question is, if he could just get out front with dirty air, would he be able to hold the lead over Ty Gibbs? And unfortunately, we never got to really see that, as the 20 of Corey Heim tried to make it 3 wide and unintentionally helped the 18 get back by. But even then, although Ty pulled out to a huge lead, Nick was right there running very competitive lap times. But, by then, 10 laps to go, the race had all but ended. Ty was leading by just miles, it felt like. When all of a sudden, poor, Eric Caudell, another independent guy who worked so hard for so little credit, had a tire go down and then had it explode on track, which brought out the classic late race yellow. No, it was not done on purpose. Duh. 7 car legit had a bad issue. But it set up one of those classic late race restarts. And honestly, I saw it coming from a mile away. Sanchez timed that start perfectly. Got alongside Ty Gibbs, and I can remember cheering on pit road. And when he cleared Gibbs, I could not be more happy. But I was worried like, oh crap, Ty still has a lap to get back by. But it was not to be, with Ty even clipping the wall off of turn 4, trying to get past him. And Nick Sanchez and Rev Racing get their first career ARCA Racing Series win. And I was so happy. I was so happy for them. They worked so hard over there. It was a feel-good story. Max Siegel puts a lot of effort in at that team. That team is largely ran unsponsored. I think they have just been pretty much unsponsored the entire year. And just so happy to see him win. Gibbs finishes second. Corey Heim, third. The guys you'd expect are up there. Drew Dollar fourth. The guys you'd expect. Very impressed by JP Bergeron to get fifth. That was actually quite impressive. And a lead lap finish as he got the free pass on that last caution. Chris Wright ended up sixth. Kyle Sieg ended up 7th. Dean Thompson ended up 8th. Our boy Raja ended up 9th. And Parker Chase for Venerini ended up 10th. Also, quick shout out to Nick Sanchez. Him and Raja will be racing each other next year in the Xfinity Series. Raja will be in Tommy Joe or Alpha Prime Racing's 44, while Sanchez will be running more than likely the 99 for BJ McLeod Motorsports next year. Now, Raja's deal is expected to be around 15 races. I think they said it was 10 to 15 races. Sanchez is expected to only do about 5 to 10 races. Hopefully they'll get more sponsorship for them to run, but it really does sound like that the championship might come down to those two guys next year. So that'll be pretty cool to see the Rev Racing guys running for the championship next year. Our boy Andy Jenkowiak was able to get 13th. We had 19 entries finish this race out of our 20, technically 24, because since they put Brad in the 06, Wayne Peterson was then listed in the 48, and that was simply labeled a DNS, a did not start. So technically the 48 still got credit with the 3 owner points that they give for the cars that at least show up, even if they have to withdraw. The 10, the 66, and the 12, and the 06 were our starting parks. So it was what it was. But overall, I thought it was actually pretty entertaining. I'll say this, for having 3 to 6 races for Raja's deal, Well, if that's the case, then that's fine. I haven't read that article in about a month, so I probably forgot. Yeah, take what I said right there with a grain of salt. I guess it's only 3 to 6 races. That's my mistake. But yeah, also to point out some more fun owner point battles is we'll give a shout out here to the 27 team. They were in a battle. Fast Track was in a battle with 2 cars this weekend. Not only were they in a battle with the 48, but it was also a battle between the number 11 entry for Fast Track Racing and the 27 Richmond Racing team. Now, again, Zachary Tinkle, who's done very well this season driving for the Peterson Richmond team, he had trouble early. With the live pit stops, unfortunately, they lost an extra lap, and it looked like that they were going to, unfortunately, lose that position. You know, they needed to beat them by five cars, but luckily, I think with the number 7 caution, they were able to gain a spot. And although they did lose some points to the 11, were still able to keep the 8th place position in the owner points. So, I mean, it was good to see the 27 team be able to keep their oh God, what am I trying to say? Keep their position in points. And I actually was able to talk to Zachary Tinkle before the race. What a nice kid. What a great guy. If anyone has ever met Zachary Tinkle, very humble guy, very nice. You wouldn't think he'd be as old as he is. He still looks like he's 12, but he's just such a good kid. He's actually a really talented driver too. Really talented. I'll give him that. He's taken that Peterson Richmond Racing team and really given them some good runs. He did tell me in the garage that the late model team, that's over with, out of money there, but he did say that he would like to run most, if not the entire ARCA season next year, which would be great to see. Would not shock me if he's going to be at Daytona testing in January. That'd be nice to see. But yeah, Zachary Tinkle, you know, if he's on Twitter as well, if I remember to put a link down in the description, I will. But Zachary's a great kid, guys. You got to cheer for him too. And I even posted the picture on my Twitter. Wayne Peterson bringing the, I think it was the white Chevrolet. They brought it with a Penske truck. Yeah. I posted that to Twitter, and it was great. That's why we love Wayne Peterson so much. Like, he's just the best. If you don't like Wayne Peterson, you're not a racing fan, point blank. So yeah, we had 20 cars who ran the entire season. Top 12 in owner points were all full-time race entries. I'll go ahead and go down the list, down until 20th place. Murray Gallagher for GMS Racing was 13th. Rod Sieg for RSS Racing was 14th. David Gilliland in the 17 entry was 16th. I accidentally skipped over. Mark Redday in the 30 team was 15th. Moving over to 17th, Wayne Peterson in the 06. That's actually why they brought the 06 to Kansas, by the way, was to ensure that they would keep that position. Bill Kimmel, 18th. And despite not showing up and being part-time this season, Stacy Holmes, Brett Holmes Racing, 19th. And as I previously mentioned earlier, Tyler Young's Motorsports beating Greg Van Alst and Andy Jenkowiak for the final position to get, I guess, money this season. But it is interesting how ARCA does do that, and they pay based on owner points rather than driver points, which does make sense in some way, shape, or form when you actually look at it. The driver points ended up like this. You guys already know the top 5. Corey Heim, runner-up to Ty Gibbs. Nick Sanchez in 3rd. Thad Moffitt, who was in 4th. Our boy Brad in 5th. D.L. Wilson, who surprisingly competed in 14 races this season, ended up 6th. Drew Dollar was 7th. Taylor Gray ended up 8th. Kyle Sieg, by virtue of this race, jumped back up to 9th. And Jesse Love, like I said earlier, rounded out top 10. Other notables outside the top 10. Jenkowiak did get a top 20 finish in the points, so that was good to see. And our boy Zachary Tinkle also got 17. So shout out again to those two guys. Can we just talk also about pure domination this season from the Gibbs team? We still got one race left in the West Series, but that's its own story. Joe Gibbs Racing, and the Coy Gibbs team, won 7 of the 8 East races with Sammy Smith and Ty Gibbs. They won over 50% of the main ARCA races this season. They won both drivers' championships, and they won both owners' championships. The domination of that series by Gibbs this year, wow. We have not seen that since the days of like Tim Steele and the 16 team or the 46 Larry Clement team of Frank Kimmel. That's just pure domination at its best. And honestly, it's something we have not seen in ARCA in a long time. A lot of people are happy that Ty Gibbs is not going to be in ARCA next year because maybe we can see some more winners. Kind of on the same train, but hey, just because he's in the best equipment, we've seen the best driver in the Joe Gibbs team, Riley Herbst, he wasn't winning every week. So it does show that Ty Gibbs is a natural talent. Also, shout out to Gibbs, won the Xfinity race earlier that day. Unfortunately, couldn't get the doubleheader. And unless you were there in person, forget Kyle Larson. Ty Gibbs had the best burnout of the entire weekend. Man, he put that ARCA Ilmore engine to use and those rear tires to shreds. Holy crap, what a burnout by that young kid. I know he's done it a lot this year, but he kept going and going and going with that burnout. And it was just cool to see. But like, you know, I got back to my hotel that night and I'm just thinking like, man, what might have been. We saw a great race, new winner, champion crown, but you know, man, when it comes to Brad Smith and that whole ordeal, you just can't help but be like, dang it, you know? But anyway, looking forward to 2022 with Brad Smith Motorsports. You know, I can't ever thank them enough for giving a young rookie like me a chance. Hopefully we see a lot of these teams next year. The ARCA Racing Twitter account actually put out saying something that we might see the ARCA schedule released tomorrow. That would actually be awesome. Fingers crossed that Iowa's on there. And not only Iowa, I want to see a West-East Maine showdown race at Iowa. I want to see that. I want to see the thing that made Iowa so special for so many years with the K&N series years ago. The East-West combo race. Now that the West series has had time to come out of COVID, they've been getting an average of 20 cars this season. The East series, been a low car counts. That series, I hope, is not back next year. I hope they merge that with the main series. But we could easily get a 40-car field for Iowa next year if they had the East-West combo race back. I really hope that's on the schedule. It'd be very entertaining. Yeah, it'd be very entertaining. So I'm hoping that's on the list. Hopefully Andy Hillenberg will be back with 4 full-time entries next year. It's always hard to say with Andy Hillenberg. Just what a great character in the garage. If you guys are ever in the ARCA garage and you see Andy Hillenberg, try to meet him, go say hi to him. I know he'll be working his ass off. He might be under one of the cars working on it, but Andy Hillenberg's always one of the best. And he's become a great friend of mine. And it'd be great to have him on the show if he just wasn't too busy all the time. But yeah, it was what it was. It's not all over for Brad. For people who think it's over for the red Chevrolet, not really. I mean, it actually is. The engine's pretty much done, but it is. I think it is replaceable. I'm not for sure. Again, I'm not the biggest expert when it comes to engines. It is a good thing, though, that Brad does have the red Ford. The Ford that was involved in the tragic crash that took James and Tweety is painted red now, and I'm hoping that it will make its return next year. And honestly, that would just be a sad sight in general, just to see that car. Knowing the history of that car, I'd probably give it a hug because I miss James Hilton that much. James was a hero to me. He absolutely was a hero, and I still can't believe he's been gone this long. Kansas was just a very memorable weekend. Let's just put it like that. I wish you guys could have been there. I wished I would have uploaded more pictures, but we were all just very busy, very frustrated at the same time. Shout out to A Story Worth Living. It's an independent film. If you guys want to check it out, look it up online. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description. It's not that bad. And I didn't say that. I haven't seen it yet, but I might. I'll probably watch it because morbid curiosity. I'm a movie person, so yeah, we'll have to watch that. But I'll try to put a link in that in the description. Also, little gift from the PR guy for Brad, Kevin Schwartz. He also writes books, if you guys did not know. And I wished I would have asked him. I might ask him on Twitter, but what I want you guys to do is that he runs the Brad Smith Twitter account. So if you guys are interested, simply DM the Twitter account, and I think he could put you through on how to order these. Now, I have them right here. The first one is Bowser, Ride of a Lifetime. It's basically the tale of ARCA driver Bobby Bowser. Great read. As we know, Bobby was a mainstay in ARCA for many, many years, gave us plenty of starting parks to look at, and was a very successful driver in his career. I don't know for sure if Bobby's still with us. I hope he is. If someone could correct me if I'm wrong on that. But anyway, it's a great book. It's only, see if I can find it here. It's only $9.99. It says right here on the back. So if you guys are interested in reading about Bobby Bowser, simply DM the Brad Smith Twitter account, and I'm sure Kevin can help you work something out. We also have, my name is Joey Fair. Stories from an American racing legend. He was a late model driver. This was another same book, only $9 as well. And again, I haven't gotten around to read these yet because it's only been a couple of days. I just finished the Bobby book. But yeah, if you guys want to read about a American racing legend, I'll be looking forward to reading my copy. Again, DM him on Twitter and get your own. And our final one, we've seen a couple of Petty books, but we also have a Richard Petty 200 win book, again, also by Kevin and Shauna McKenzie. It's also only $9.95. Again, these are all books by PR guy Kevin Schwartz for Brad Smith. If you want your own copy, just simply go to the Brad Smith Twitter account and DM him. Explain that you saw me on the show and you'd like your own copy. It's a great little read. It's a nice book. It's got some very cool pictures in there. And for any historian who wants to learn the history of racing from a different point of view and some racers that you may not know about, like Bobby Bowser and Joey Fair, it's your opportunity to not listen, I wish, audio per copy, but it's your opportunity to read some stories about some legends in the racing series that you may not know about. But thank you to Kevin for giving me those back in Iowa. But yeah, hopefully, going back to the 2022 schedule, we've seen a couple of races already been announced, kind of the big tracks that we all expected to have an ARCA. Tracks that I hope return next year: Iowa, obviously, Milwaukee Mile. Honestly, I know it's a long shot, but I hope they go back to that I-44 Speedway in Lebanon. That tiny little short track is exactly what ARCA should be. Beating and banging, good old short track racing. That was a good race. With the Cup Series and the Truck and Xfinity Series going to Gateway next year, why not make it a quadruple weekend? Maybe we should bring back Gateway 2 for the ARCA schedule. I don't believe they were there this year. Another track I'd like to see them go to, ARCA. I can see right now in the state that ARCA is in, the only road course I believe that they should be going to is the Glen, the main series. I loved ARCA at the Glen, but that's the one road course that they should stay on. Nowhere else. For the main series at least, the Glen and Sonoma are the two road courses that ARCA needs to run on for West and Maine. So, or Portland. I mean, if you like Portland, I think personally Sonoma's better than Portland, in my opinion. But we'll have to just see tomorrow. And if it is, we will bring it up on tomorrow's episode of Backmarker Battles. We will open the show tomorrow, Backmarker Battles, talking about the 2022 ARC schedule. And then we'll get into the Backmarker Battles portion of the show. But yeah, that would definitely be very intriguing to be able to set my 2022 schedule with Brad Smith. Thank you guys, like I said, again, for the donations. I'm glad this last show was able to be as fun as it was, despite the setback of this weekend for the whole team and me. Thank you for enjoying this podcast series. Now, again, we still got 2 more episodes to do before the entire ARCA season is up. We have next week will be the West preview show for Phoenix. And then the week after that, we have the finale, which is the West Series race at Phoenix Review, championship race crowned. But I will not reveal anything right now, but we are not going to stop after that West race at Phoenix. We'll be going all through the winter. So you guys are stuck with me. You guys are stuck with me through the winter, whether you like it or not. But I'll get into those details 2 weeks from now when the entire season is over. Congratulations to Ty Gibbs. Congratulations to Nick Sanchez. It's been a main ARCA season for the books. I don't know if we'll see domination like this in ARCA again. Sammy Smith is going to be a beast next year in that 18, if that is the case, even though he won't be running for the championship. Still, guys, thank you for enjoying the show. Like, subscribe for more. Go buy the books if you're interested on the Brad Smith Twitter account, like I said. And we'll catch you next week for the West Series Championship show. I've been your boy, Colby Evans. Bye-bye. Love you guys.